Hello everybody! Welcome to Creating the Basic Adaptable Game Engine Library, Part 40, Label Class Design. We've done a lot of work with graphics, and now we're going to turn our attention to text. It would be very useful to be able to display text on the screen. Up to this point, we've circumvented this problem by using images of text, for example, a picture that contains the words "you win." But it would be much more efficient if we were able to generate text within the program itself and display it on the screen. So we'll talk about a label class in this video, which will be used to display text. Now, there's lots of things we can customize with text. And here are the different fields we'll focus on in this particular class. First, most importantly, we'll need to choose a font. And in this series, we're going to limit our attention to pre-installed system fonts. There is a way to load font files in JavaFX, but I'll leave that to you if you're interested. We'll need to choose a font installed on your system. So that could be Arial or Times New Roman or Courier New, lots of different choices that are pretty standard on most computers. We'll need to choose a size for the font and the color that should be used for rendering it. In addition, of course, we'll need some kind of a string variable containing the text which will be displayed within the label. The next point is subtle and important. We need to specify a position for our label within the game. However, sometimes we'll want text to be placed in a corner of the screen or perhaps centered along the bottom or the top of the screen. So in addition to specifying a position, we'll also want to specify what part of the label that position refers to. And here we'll just limit ourselves to using that position as the left side of the text element, the center of the text, or the right side of the text. And this will allow us to more closely line things up within corners. Now, these are all horizontal alignments. We won't worry about vertical alignments because once you choose a font size, the vertical or the height of your label is pretty much fixed. It's really the horizontal alignment which is tricky, and so we'll incorporate this in our code. Next, we'll talk about drawing a border for our labels. We'll make this optional, and that's why there's a question mark here. So this will be a Boolean variable determining whether or not we want a label or a border around the text in our label. And if this is set to true, it'll also help to specify the size, that is to say the thickness of the border, along with the color that should be used. In general, it will help to use a border whose color contrasts the color used to render the font. This will help it kind of pop. It'll be more visible on the screen, less likely to blend into other in-game elements. And finally, we'll also include a visible field, because there might be some messages like a "you win" message that you don't want to display until the end of the game. So these are the fields that we'll set up. As for methods, there aren't really that many we need to worry about. One of them, which is surprisingly tricky, is the constructor. Right? This is a lot of different fields that we might want to set. So there's a couple of ways we could go about this. Some of the information, like the name and the size, we might want to specify that in the constructor. But some of these parameters could be optional. Right? Some of these we might want to automatically use a default so as to not overwhelm the user who's going to be using the basic adaptable game engine library. So we have some decisions to make. We could do a bunch of overloaded constructors, but in this case, for efficiency and just getting through this class, we'll just have one constructor and we'll make all the other fields public so they can be changed directly. And finally, we need to render this text on the screen, so we need some kind of a draw method. And for that reason, it really makes the most sense for the label class to extend the entity class. It's something which should automatically be rendered on the screen. It would be great if we could add it to the group along with the different sprites which are getting drawn. So we'll extend the entity class for this. And that's basically what's going to go into the label class. Lots of customization options. You could probably think of even more, like maybe you want to set the opacity for your label. Maybe you even want to set a rotation angle, I'm not sure. But you could add even more fields if you wish, but this is the set that we'll stick with in this video series. So that's it. That's the plan for the design of the label class. In the next video, we'll get around to writing the actual code. Thanks for watching.